Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. To this day.
Nino Brown Boxing, and I'm back in the building. Shout out to the LDBC. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. So, we got this weekend out of the way. Tank Davidson, Lil Santa Cruz. We see how that fight played out. Definitely an exciting fight for the fans. Now, I'm ready to move on to bigger and better things. So, we have upcoming fights later on this year in the welterweight division. We have Errol Spence versus Danny Garcia on December 5th. And we also have Terrence Crawford versus Crawford Brook this month, November 14th. So I decided to take a look at the welterweight rankings. And since Errol Spence been out of the ring for a while now, and the main concern wasn't who he was about to fight or who his mandatory was going to be. It was more so to focus on his recovery. Now that the fight with Danny Garcia has been signed and sealed, and we're just slowly waiting the days to go by until December 5th. Before that, we had that bout with Terrence Crawford and Crawford Brook. Now, these four guys, in my opinion, are top welterweight. Some people don't want to put Crawford Brook in that category, but I do. Now, I'm looking at this, and I'm saying there's one guy missing. Well, two guys, because you got Manny Pacquiao, but we all know how that shit goes. But we're missing Shawn Porter. And I want to focus on Shawn Porter in this video because these two fights are extremely important to Shawn Porter's career, especially within the next year or so. So, on November 14th, when Terrence Crawford faces Crawford Brook, going into this fight, currently, Shawn Porter is ranked #1 by the WBO. My biggest question is, what the fuck is Shawn Porter going to do on December 6th? Sunday, December 6th, after Crawford Brook and Terrence Crawford have fought, after Danny Garcia and Errol Spence have fought, what is Shawn Porter going to do? Because it's been a lot of talks about how Terrence Crawford, he needs to fight someone. He needs to face Shawn Porter. He needs to face this guy or that guy. Well, right now he's facing Crawford Brook. I feel like it's definitely a great opponent for him to have. And I understand a lot of people have the preference of Shawn Porter. But Shawn Porter, he's ranked #1 by the WBO. Now, we all know that Shawn likes to chase around the WBC, and he's sniffing around that WBC belt. And his nose is all up the ass from Mauricio Suleiman. But Danny Garcia is Errol Spence's mandatory. So, with Errol Spence about to face his mandatory in December, he's not going to have a WBC mandatory for a while now. And it got me thinking, well, Shawn, you last fought in August. Crawford Brook and Terrence Crawford are fighting in November. If Errol also has the IBF title, and we all know how strict the IBF is when it comes to their mandatories, well, after this mandatory WBC title offense, if Errol's not going to unify with the winner of Crawford Brook or Terrence Crawford, it only makes sense for him to fight his IBF mandatory. So that brings me to the question for Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter's actions after this fight, it matters a lot because we all know Terrence Crawford, his leverage is damn near non-existent right now, and he has that WBO belt. Terrence Crawford being stripped of the WBO belt because of whatever reason he doesn't want to face Shawn Porter, I don't see that happening. With that being said, all of the people calling for Terrence Crawford to fight someone, this is the prime opportunity. We understand that when it comes to the numbers and that Shawn Porter and Terrence Crawford making this fight, at the end of the day, if they can't come to an agreement, we all know how that shit works. It goes to a purse. It goes to a purse bid. Well, Shawn Porter, his actions are going to start speaking a whole lot louder than his words. We've heard Kenny Porter say that they want to face Terrence Crawford, but at the same time, you've been ranked by the WBO. You've been #1 ranked by the WBO. You're Terrence Crawford's next mandatory. If it goes to a purse bid, I don't know that Shawn Porter is serious when he said that he's willing to face Terrence Crawford. If it goes to the purse bid, they accept the numbers and they make the fight happen. It's either Shawn Porter is going to make the fight with Terrence Crawford, or it's going to be some bullshit and he decides not to, because with Terrence Crawford, his mandatory is his mandatory. It's no ducking and dodging and skating around it. The only thing he can do at that point in time is vacate. So if the fight does not happen and Terrence Crawford does not vacate, something happened on the Shawn Porter end, and it will, to me, it completely eliminates all of the bullshit of Terrence Crawford not wanting to face anyone, because at this point in time, he would have faced, assuming that he beats Kell Brook, he would have faced Kell Brook, the hypothetical fall through of the Shawn Porter mandatory, and then he attempted to face Keith Thurman when he first got to the welterweight division. So I just want to see how shit plays out. I'm extremely interested in this Kell Brook and Terrence Crawford fight. I feel like Shawn Porter should be all over this winter. He should definitely make it known that he hasn't fought since August 2020. That wasn't that long ago. And this is a prime opportunity for Shawn to jump into a championship fight. Errol Spence is already going to be occupied with his IBF mandatory and his WBC mandatory and Danny Garcia in December. Well, Shawn, at this point in time, the ball is in your court. Let's see how you push for that WBO title shot. It doesn't make sense for the WBO to screw Shawn Porter over for the simple fact they have him ranked #1. And we all know the WBO history when it comes to PBC fighters or fighters that aren't with Top Rank, how they conveniently exclude them from their rankings. Well, Shawn Porter has been in the rankings and now he's ranked #1. So it only makes sense to make that fight, especially if Terrence Crawford is victorious. Now, if Kell Brook is victorious, it also makes things interesting as well. I always called out Shawn Porter for the fact that he never ran it back with Kell Brook. I understand people started talking about the shit with the IBF. Well, this part, the outcome of this fight, a lot of things will be telling. It's either he's going to face Kell Brook or he's not. He's going to face Terrence Crawford or he's not. We'll see how all this shit plays out. It's Nino Brown Boxing. Shout out to the LDBC, and I'm out.